I might get a lot of What's going on, YouTube nerds? Today's video is going to be about why you should switch to digital art. I might get a lot of hate for this video, but I can't. There's always some person out there saying, but it's digital, it takes no skill, all your brushes do it for you. And to a certain extent, there are some artists out there who let the digital software do everything for them. I see this topic come up so much, and it's usually from traditional artists. And don't get me wrong, I don't have anything against traditional artists, except you're stupid. Just kidding, guys. I don't hate you, but I think there is something wrong in your head. No, I'll defend traditional art here in a little bit, so don't worry about it. So without further ado, guys, here's 6 reasons why I think you should switch to digital art. I think the first big reason for me for switching over to digital art, and one of the reasons that I did it personally, is because as a traditional artist, especially with paint, especially with oil paint specifically, you're huffing fumes all day. Traditional artists are just in their rooms huffing mineral spirits. But you're breathing in those chemicals all day unless you have really, really good ventilation. Even then, the good ventilation doesn't stop everything from getting into your lungs. I think it's just healthier to go to a digital platform. Now, it is bad on your eye. You can also get glasses that deflect blue light, so it's not a big deal. There are ways to protect your eyes whenever you're doing digital art. But at least I'm not sitting there huffing paint and eating oil paint and having random sediment and stuff in my bloodstream. The second reason is the color picker. If instead of mixing paint for hours and hours, maybe it's not hours, maybe I'm exaggerating, but you're spending a lot of time just mixing paints and trying to get the right hue. And if you put it down and you don't like it, you gotta spend more time mixing paints. And you gotta get it perfect before you put it down on the canvas, because if you mess up on the canvas, it's gonna take hours for that oil paint to dry, or not. If not hours, it's gonna take days or weeks, and it's going to be a while before you can go back over it. If you go over it while it's still wet, your paint gets all muddy, doesn't look as good. It's just a mess, and it takes so much time. And I think whenever we're making mistakes and we're deciding we don't like those certain colors and we're going back and we're doing it quick, we learn from our mistakes faster. Instead of, oh man, I got to mix paint again for another 10 minutes and hopefully this is the right one that I want to put down and it looks good next to all the other colors. So with digital platforms, it's just a lot faster to make mistakes and to learn from, I think. The third big reason that I think is that digital is more forgiving. With traditional art, you gotta paint over, you have to wait for things to dry. You gotta wait a million freaking years for that thing to dry so that you can slap more paint onto the canvas. It's a faster mistake making process, and it helps us to learn faster is what I'm getting. And let's face it, I mean, we're still all learning something. Even at professional stages of art making, people are still learning new techniques. People are still learning new ways to express themselves with different kinds of color ranges, and styles are always changing, and it's just faster to learn with a digital platform. Number 4 is one of my favorites, and it's the Liquify tool. I don't have this in real life. You can't have it in real life. You know that feeling whenever you're working on a piece for hours, painting it or drawing it, and you may be sitting at like a weird angle or something, and you don't see one of the mistakes that you're making. Maybe one of the eyes is too big or slightly bigger than the other. Well, you gotta erase that and redraw it, or paint over it, which is worse and much more time consuming. With the Liquify tool, we can just fix our proportion mistakes at a super easy glance, and it saves so much time in my workflow. Number 5 is that it's way easier to critique a digital piece. Even for traditional art, critiquing a piece digitally is way better. Let's say we're traditional artists. We're finished with our work, and we ask somebody, hey, can you critique this for me? Let me know the mistakes that I've made, or things that I could work on that could maybe express this idea that I have a little bit better. And we have to rely solely on the words that they say whenever we're doing traditional art. if we're not using a digital medium to critique it, we can't show them unless they explicitly give us permission to paint over their piece, which I wouldn't recommend for any artist. But if we snap a quick picture of it, we upload it to Photoshop, we throw another layer on there, and we can paint over that and show them exactly what we're doing or what we mean whenever we're critiquing a piece, and it doesn't damage the original piece. If they want to go back and correct it traditionally, they also can do that, but it just shows us visually the things that we're critiquing, our ideas. I mean, we're visual learners, we're artists. We do everything in a visual manner. That's how we learn. Doing a digital paint over for a traditional piece is completely fine. As long as we have permission from the artist and they're wanting that critique, we can show them in a very easy way how to make the changes that we think they should make in this piece to express themselves better. Number 6 is, I think it's cheaper in the long run. Now, the upstart costs of digital media is a lot more expensive, but there are ways that you can work around those price figures. For example, a long time ago I bought a Wacom Intuos Pro for about $100 used, and it's worked great for me. I've never had any issues with it. There are ways that you can get around those really steep price tags. But the thing with digital is, once you have those startup costs complete, you really don't have to pay any more money monthly. You can buy other painting softwares out there that are one price, that you buy them once and you don't have to pay monthly. With traditional art, you're having to buy paper, pens, pencils, charcoal, paints, canvases, mineral spirits, linseed oil, buckets for the water, brushes. You got 5,000 billion kajillion other things that you gotta buy. And it doesn't stop either. Once that stuff runs out, because they're physical objects, they run out. You have to buy more. So that's why I say that I think in the long run, digital art will save you a lot more money. When you work digitally, you already have all your dimensions how you want them. Say you want to do an 11 by 17 print, well, you have an 11 by 17 piece that you have really easy access to. With traditional work, you typically have to get a really, really good photo of it. And that's not necessarily hard to do, but making sure that the lighting is even, it's a lot of work. Even with that traditional piece, when you take a photo of it, you're going to have to correct a few spots because maybe the lighting was off, maybe the lighting wasn't even, maybe there's a few highlights that jumped out that really distract from the overall artwork, and those things need to be helped digitally in order to make good prints. So at the end of the day, you're having to run your traditional art through a digital medium to create prints anyway, if that's something that you're interested in. Whereas with digital art, that stuff is already ready to go. And here's the thing that I want to say about traditional art. The only big downside to working digitally is that you can't sell original pieces. And this is where I think traditional artists have the upper hand on digital artists. And this is why I always recommend that digital artists do all of their drawings and paintings first in rough sketches and sketchbooks. Because if you have collectors that are really interested in your artwork, then you have original pieces in a sketchbook that you could eventually sell to them, and they'll still be interested in that kind of stuff. I know a lot of people that sell their original sketches for a lot of money. But if you eventually gain a large following as an artist and you want to sell original pieces, they usually go for high dollar because they're the original piece. They don't have any copies of it, there's no prints of it, usually. And there are a lot of collectors out there that are really interested in having original pieces from artists. Whereas with a digital, there's not really any original piece for it. So if you're a beginner artist out there, you're really thinking about picking up digital art, I would highly recommend it. I think you're going to get a lot out of it. I hope you find this video helpful. I hope that you dabble into the digital art realm. I think you'll enjoy it. I think that the stigma needs to go away for digital art not being real art. And I think it eventually is, but there's a lot of old traditional artists out there who think that it's not real art. By the way, guys, if you find this video helpful, please like, comment, subscribe, share, do all of the things for me. I really appreciate it. Alrighty, guys, sorry my camera stopped recording at the end of that video, so I didn't get to say goodbye. I hope you guys have a fantastic week. I wish you all the best of luck on your art journeys, and I hope that this video helped. Love you too, bye.